I am B. Tulsi from BTech CSC third year with data science specialization. In this video, I am going to explain about my project. Name of my project is Serverless Data Encryption and Decryption with AWS Key Management Service. What is KMS? KMS is Key Management Service. It is a managed service. Here managed service means KMS is managed by AWS, not by us, like KMS key update, policy update and KMS backup. KMS key provides the next level of security to our data by providing encryption to data. KMS key helps us to manage our data securely and also reduce the burden of managing user access with IAM policy or S3 bucket policy. In simple words, key management service or KMS helps us to encrypt and decrypt data. Here there are two types of KMS service provided by AWS, symmetric and asymmetric. Symmetric means a single encryption key used for both encrypt and decrypt the data. Asymmetric means a public and private key pair that can be used to encrypt and decrypt the data. Start the project. Let's go to AWS. Let's navigate to Lambda service. And click on create function and provide a function name. Here I am giving my function name as KMS my function. And I want to write the code in Python, so here I am changing the runtime to Python 3.10 and without changing anything, click on create function. Here we can see that our function is created. Now let's duplicate the tab. Go to console and open KMS service. Click on create key. Let's keep the key type as same symmetric and key usage as encrypt and decrypt. And click on next. Now as step 2 we have to add labels. In alias we have to provide any name. I am giving as my CMK service 1 and click on next. As step 3 we have to define key administrative permission. Now I am going to make myself a key admin. And check whether the key deletion option is enabled or not and click on next. As step 4, key uses permission. I am going to give access to my Lambda execution role. We can go to the Lambda tab and go to the configuration tab and here we can see the role name. Just copy it and again go back to KMS service tab and paste it. Enable it and click on next. As for step 5, do not change anything and just review and click on finish. Click on finish. Here our key is successfully created. Select the link we have just created. Now let's head back to the Lambda window and navigate to the code tab. Now let's write the code for encrypt and decrypt. Here I have already written the code, just copy and paste it. Let's import Boto 3 and base 64. In my Lambda handler, I am grabbing the input data from my input and storing it in the input data variable. Next I am starting a Boto 3 session and I have if-else logic where I call the encrypt method if the encrypt or decrypt key is set to encrypt, else I call the decrypt method. I am also passing my KMS key alias when I call the encrypt method. Next I am starting a KMS client session and I am calling the client.encrypt method and passing my key alias and input data. Finally, I am returning my base 64 encoded cipher test block. Now let's look at decrypt method, and next I am starting a client KMS session. Next I am calling the client.decrypt method and passing it in my cipher block, and at last I am returning the plain text. Writing of our code is completed now. Click on deploy and click on the text to configure the test event. Let's give a event name and scroll down to the event JSON section. Here I am going to specify my input data and whether I want to encrypt or decrypt. Here I am giving input as WhatsApp. And here I am writing whether I want to encrypt or decrypt. I want to encrypt the plain text and click on save. Now click on test button to execute. Now we can see the encrypted cipher test as output of our input. So our Lambda function worked properly. And now let's copy the cipher test and again go to configure. Now let's replace the input data with the encrypted cipher test and replace this as decrypt and hit on save button and click on test. Now we can see the encrypted test has output. We have successfully created the project. Thank you.